Once upon a time, in a kingdom made of candy, there lived a little girl who was known for her beautiful singing. She would sing all day as she skipped through the candy cane forest, her laughter echoing like wind chimes. But her shadow, oh, her shadow was always curiously watching her, mimicking her every move. The girl didn't mind. In fact, she liked having someone to play with, even if that someone was just a shadow. One day, while playing hide and seek with her shadow, the girl hid behind a giant lollipop. Suddenly, the sky turned dark, the wind picked up speed, and a big raindrop fell. Then another and another, until it poured. The girl started to cry. She didn't like rain. It made her skin feel itchy. And as she ran home, she noticed her shadow wasn't following. She peeked from behind a candy cane bush and saw her shadow dancing in the rain, twirling and leaping like it was having the time of its life. When the girl got home, she told her mother about her shadow's strange behavior. Her mother, a wise old witch, who knew a thing or two about shadows, explained that shadows have their own minds and they grow curious when their owners are scared. The girl sighed. She understood that her shadow only wanted to help her, but she also couldn't understand why her shadow liked the rain so much. That night, the girl couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned in her bed, and when she finally drifted off to sleep, she had a strange dream. In her dream, she found herself walking through the candy cane forest, but this time it was nighttime. The moon hung like a silver coin in the sky, and the trees around her whispered secrets in the wind. And then she saw him. Her shadow was standing in front of her, no longer a copy, but a being of his own, with eyes that twinkled like distant stars, and a smile as bright as the moon. He said, "I'm here to take you on an adventure." And before she could ask any questions, he took her hand and they started to walk. They walked past houses made of gingerbread and licorice, down streets paved with gumdrops and lollipops, until they reached a huge chocolate river. The girl gasped. She had never seen anything so beautiful. But as she leaned closer to get a better look, she heard a terrible roar. A giant made of marzipan was stirring in his sleep, and his every snore shook the river, making scary waves. The girl wanted to run away, but her shadow held her hand tighter and said, "Don't be afraid. This is just a sleeping giant. We need to cross the river to get home, and this is the only way." He pointed to a small boat in the distance. The girl nodded, trying to be brave, but when the giant roared again, she started to cry. Her shadow put his finger on her lips to hush her, then jumped into the river. The girl watched as he rowed the boat towards the other side, his back facing her, his shoulders shaking with effort. As the boat reached the middle of the river, one of the giant's hands broke the surface and scooped some water into his mouth. The girl screamed. Her shadow looked back at her, his eyes shining with encouragement. Taking a deep breath, the girl found her voice and started to sing. She sang as loud as she could, filling the night with beautiful music. And when the giant heard her singing, he stopped drinking the water, turned towards her, and smiled. Wiping her tears, the girl stepped into the boat. With the giant distracted, her shadow quickly rowed them to the other side. When they were finally home, the girl threw her arms around her shadow. "Thank you," she whispered. "I was so scared, but you helped me." Her shadow smiled and gave her a tiny nudge. "You were very brave, my little one," he said. "And that song you sang, it was beautiful." Then, as the first rays of sunlight peeked over the horizon, her shadow started to fade. "Wait," the girl cried. reaching out to him, but he was gone. When her mother came to check on her, the girl told her about her adventure and how her shadow had become real to protect her. Her mother smiled and said, "Your shadow will always be with you, not just at night, but every time you need him. And your bravery, my dear, it will only grow with time." The girl learned that day that even the smallest shadow can hold the greatest courage, and that sometimes the things that scare us the most can be our greatest strength. And so she lived happily ever after, singing, adventuring, and always remembering the bravery that grew from her shadow.